Good morning. So today is Tuesday and it is February 4th of 2025. It's about 11 a.m. in the morning. I remember those Tuesdays in the corporate world, busiest day, right? Meetings, meetings, meetings. Oh my God. My schedule used to be all full of meetings. And on Tuesdays, it used to be nonstop. I don't miss those, trust me. I love what I do now. So if you are overcoming that part of your life where you had divorce, and in my case, my divorce and job loss happened at the same time. Now I laugh about it, but guess what? This journey taught me so much that I won't change anything, even a little bit of it, because I truly believe that experience can shape you. The divorce, that experience can shape you in a way that you learn how to thrive, not only survive. But we got to put in the work. We got to put in the work. It's not automatic. So I'm going to cover a 3-step process that I follow with my clients for them to get to that place. How from surviving, barely surviving, to a thriving state. Right? And I hear from people that they had divorced 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they're still suffering. I don't get it. Like, you can change your life in just 6 months. Give it a 6 months. Be consistent. Do the things that's necessary, and you can get there. I'm a living proof. It took me a year, but guess what? Before that, I did a lot of studying about human behavior and everything. It was endless. I was chatting with a friend yesterday and I was talking about this, that if I counted the hours, I probably could have done a PhD. So probably that's why for me, within a year, I was able to get to that state. And now I am totally in a mission to show you how you can get from the surviving state to a thriving state, to a version of you that you thought didn't even exist. But it's in there, it's within you. Okay, so I'm going to share, high level, and then if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'm going to respond to you guys. Of course, when I do the one-on-one coaching, I share more details. There is a lot more support and whatnot. And when I see that changes in my clients' thinking and how they start feeling about new things and see the smile, oh my God, that's the biggest payoff. That's the biggest payoff, trust me. So today I'm going to talk about, it's about 4-quadrant method. Like you guys have heard, I talked about it before. In the 4-quadrant, the first is relationship, all relationship, your family, friends, coworker, all relationship. It's all about relationship and the relationship within yourself. That's what we have to work first, because within ourselves there is 2 sides, the critic and the cheerleader. We quiet down the critic, we make the cheerleader as big as we can, right? So the first is relationship, starting with your own self. Number 2 is the deepest desires and dreams, and those are the intangible that most people don't focus, and that gets kicked out from life very easily when life gets busy. But guess what? That is what impacts the rest of the 3. It's almost like you can drive a car when you have one flat tire, and most people's life, when they're in a surviving state, this deepest desires and dream, that is bleeding into the others. Because think of a rich life. So it's our relationship, I, C, H, C is the career, H is the health. So instead of I, it's actually deepest desires and dreams. You can write it down if that helps you to memorize how it works. I have been using this for 7, 8 years now. I just refined it more and more as I learned a lot of different things, trainings and whatnot. So relationship, deepest dreams and desires. And number 3 is the career, because career is important. It's not the most important thing in your life, but the career and the finance and the money is important for you to live a fulfilling life. If somebody's telling you that no, money is not good, you don't need the money, you yourself know when you are under stress, when you need extra money to pay the bills, you need extra money for the mortgage or for something that broke in the house and you have to fix it, you need money to feel at peace. Because sometimes, you need money more than anything, because situations could be different. In life, we go through many different things. So money is not bad. It's the thinking that we associate with it can change the meaning of money or anything else. Number 4, health. And when we talk about health, it's physical health and emotional health. And that's the interesting part too, because most people think about being physically fit. So if you're physically fit, if you have the BMI, your height, weight, all proportionate, you're like, okay, I'm great. But guess what? Our emotional part is most important. It's when you lose 100 pounds, and it's like a big thing, right? Everybody can see it, you can see it, it's very visual. But guess what? In our emotional perspective, that can happen too, because you can visually see it. But what happens is, I would challenge you, pick anything around you in your life right now, in your house, whatever you have. One day, that was your dream, that, oh, I want to achieve that. And there your degree or something, anything, something that you might associate with something big that you have accomplished in your life. I can guarantee that you can find something if you are in your midlife. So think of that. Your mind had to think in a certain way for you to achieve that, right? So that is the growth of your mindset that you're talking about. And that pattern that you used, and that you have used, that your personal formula and the pattern that you used to achieve multiple great things in your life until now. And that is what we work together and hone in to get you to that place when you become unstoppable. So in this step 1, it's a 3-step process, so for this 4 to get to the optimum state, I follow this simple thing that I always talk about: thinking, speaking, action. And speaking is the most important part. And you won't hear it anywhere in the industry. They would always focus on thinking, feeling, action. Speaking is where it will get you there the fastest way possible. Speaking influences everything. Initially, you have to make that habit, and then that habit will make you. It won't feel exhausting that you are focusing on the positive, because that becomes your automatic approach. That becomes your automatic approach. That is the habitual change we are talking about here. And to do that, so what I talked about, 4 quadrants, how you are going to do it: thinking, speaking, action, 3 things. And then there is 3 steps. Step 1, finding your identity after your divorce outside of your marriage. Finding your identity after your divorce outside of your marriage. And then I'll cover step 2, step 3 tomorrow. Step 2 tomorrow, step 3 would be on Thursday. So come back and watch those if you're interested. Step 1, you gotta find your identity, a new identity. And why I say that? Because especially after divorce, if you're in the recovery journey, if it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the line, if you're still talking about your past, if you're still talking about your ex, that means you are still there. You are still attached to your old identity. Trust me, you are. Now, if you have kids together, you may have to communicate for kids' well-being, co-parenting, etc. That is okay. But beyond that, there should not be anything that you should be talking about. And in the beginning, it is okay. This is part of the healing process. You might talk about it. I was on a hamster wheel. I kept talking about it to not many, but a few close friends. And they were such a blessing to me, because I needed to do that, because you need to get that out of your system. And you do that by talking and talking. You might go see a counselor or therapist, whatever you call it as. And I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a legal advisor. So you may have your attorney, you may have your therapist. I am a coach. You can think of me like a life coach after divorce, right? Life coach after divorce, to get you from that surviving to a thriving state, Because depending on your life experience, it might be possible that you yourself can get through it. In my case, I had many different kinds of help at the same time for 20 years, or I'm in my 40s, and I have been pretty much by myself. Not much family support, and not because I didn't want to or they didn't want to. They live in a small town in India. They don't understand my lifestyle here. I have been in the US for 20 years. Before that, I was in big cities for several years, doing my engineering for 4 years, and then I worked in India for a couple of years. So anyway, so my lifestyle is completely different than how my rest of my family members' lifestyle. So they don't understand what I'm going through. My thinking, feeling, all of that are very different. Sorry guys, I needed to drink that water. So we gotta find your new identity. Without that identity, no matter what you do, you will keep getting back to the past. So I will tell you what I mean by that. Say if you go visit a place, and in the past, you and your spouse have been there. If you don't find your new identity, this is going to always remind you of the past. And that is not where you want to live. Right? That is not where you want to live. Because when you find your new identity, the same place you go to again, you are going to be looking to create a new memory for yourself with that new identity, with that new version of yourself, instead of thinking of the past. And that's the power. So I'll give you an example. So in my situation, my step one, when I was trying to find my identity after months and months, when I was going through that, one of the things that helped me, and we will talk more about it in tomorrow's session in the step 2, is knowing my deepest desires and dreams. And for some people, it's not as straightforward, and that's why, we work together and then we find that for you. But for me, it was very clear. I knew, for me, that my personality is like, I know my goal. I know, if sometimes I may know how to get there, and sometimes I may not. I may need help, and that's okay. So for me, traveling is a big thing. You guys know, if you are a repeat audience, and thank you to you guys. Special thanks for coming back and watching my videos and sharing them and giving thumbs up. You guys are awesome. So traveling is a big thing. So for me, as soon as I knew that, okay, I am living in the past, I got to move past beyond that. So I had to focus on my deepest dreams and desire. Remember those 4 I was talking about? The first is relationship. And I tried my best to optimize the relationship with my friends, my daughter, because I have only one daughter, whoever I knew, as much as possible. And it does not have to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. So don't wait for perfection. And this deepest desires and dreams, I'm like, okay, that was not met. And majority of you, if you are getting divorced, it's not me, it's John Gottman, who has done this research for 45 years, to tell you that a lot of time, the deepest desires and dreams are what creates most of the conflicts. He has a book called John Gottman and Julie Gottman. They're the master of relationship when it comes to husband and wife Um, Fight Right, that's the book. It came out January 2024, so it's a year-old book. But their research has been there for 45 years, and they can predict a divorce, if I remember the numbers right, with 96% accuracy, just seeing first 3 minutes of conversation between two spouses. From 3 minutes, they don't even have to know the people because it follows a pattern. So anyway, so their point of view is a lot of divorces happen because of the deepest desires and dreams, which also ties in with people's goal. They don't align, and if two people are going this way, they are not going to meet, right? So even if there are some connection, it doesn't fully match, then you can have a fulfilling life. And sometimes what ends up happening is two people are going in two different directions. If you're here, you could still come back and communicate and make things better. But if you're way further here, imagine two people are way further, drifted apart, and then it becomes harder to come back. But life's beauty comes from acceptance, right? If you are there, and for me, acceptance comes from God, and for you it could be a different way. Whichever way you can accept, if you eventually, when you can get to the acceptance zone, saying that whatever happened until now that has a purpose, that is shaping you to be the best version of yourself, so that you become that unstoppable version. And I'm not telling you that you are always going to be feeling good, that something might happen, some reaction from somebody, or something you have expected from your best friend didn't happen, and things like that will happen. You get here, point A, and if your goal is to pull yourself to point B, where it is freedom, you will know how to pull yourself from fear to freedom very quickly. And more you can reduce that time is the growth. I'll tell you, sometimes when you feel bad, and sometimes you feel bad for days and weeks and months, that means you're living here for days and weeks and months. If you have a formula that you create for yourself, and that's what I do in my service, with your personalized formula, because the same formula that works for me is not going to work for you, because our life had a unique path. So you work together to find that formula for you. Very simple 2-3 formula that works for every situation. Something puts you back here, it knocks you down, you get up here, you get back up here faster. From if you're there for years, you get down to months, from months to weeks to days, and then even hours. And it does not have to be sequential from years. It can happen in days. You can take quantum leap, quantum jump. That's more detail. I'm not going to discuss it here. So it's possible, right? So in step 1, when I had to find my identity back, I knew this was the traveling, and ideally speaking, I would want to travel the world. I want to go to Paris. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Switzerland. But it's not as easy or quick to plan all of those. Of course, it costs more money than I would be ready to spend at that point. So I took baby steps. Even the baby steps help. My daughter and I, we went to some small trips. If you have been following me for a while on the channel, you know, because I capture those ones too, because I make videos every day. I did some short trips, just a few days, 3-4 days at a time, and in driving distance, just 2-3 hours from here. I didn't go to Paris. I didn't go to Tuscany, where I want to go. Someday I'll go. My plan is next year. We'll see. Next summer, 2026 summer. Even that helped me, to realize how happy it made me feel, right? What I was missing. Because when you are going through it, and because of our habitual things, the way things feel like and feel. So this is the Dixie cup. I love the feeling of the touch of the, if you have ever If you have never tried this, you should try this. They feel so good in your hand. So anyway, so Dixie cup I'm using for my second cup of coffee. I usually drink just one cup. Once in a while, I do the second cup. Anyway, um, the feeling, right? We are all after the feeling because feeling is what takes us back to our emotions. So I'll tell you, when you listen to music, let's say if you are in a restaurant and randomly they play a music from your high school days, right? It reminds you of that time. Where does it take you? It's that feeling from that music that you hear through your senses. The same feeling gets generated in your mind. The same feeling or similar feeling gets generated in your mind. So even the Buddhist monk, the priest, or pundits at the Hindu temple, if you everybody is after that feeling, right? That inner peace, or whatever you call it as peace. And feeling is automatic. Even though the industry talks about, thinking, feeling, action, I focus on thinking, speaking, action, because you can't control the feeling. Feeling just it's not even a millisecond. It happens before then. Thinking and feeling goes hand in hand. And I don't have the medical device to tell you that, okay, I have this data, but I just would want to ask yourself, don't you think that your thinking and feeling goes hand in hand? Can you stop? You are thinking about something, and then, okay, I'm thinking, then we'll be a robot. If we're like thinking something and my feeling will come after 5 seconds, doesn't happen that way, right? Doesn't. So it's that feeling is what we are after. And then to magnify that feeling, to get to that, the second quadrant. The first quadrant is relationship. The second quadrant is the deepest dreams and desires, career and health. To feel that feeling, that what is missing, the deepest desires and dreams. Sometimes a lot of people, they really forget what it was like to have those dreams, to have those deep desires. So when you take those baby steps, it gives you, it's almost like a trailer for a movie that you always loved, but you forgot, right? So you see the trailer by doing those baby steps, and that reminds you, oh my God, I loved that movie. I want to watch that movie again, right? You know what I'm talking about? If you have a favorite movie, just think about that. And maybe you watched it, I don't know, 20 years ago. And now and that really deeply resonated with you, and then you see the trailer like, oh my God, I remember all of that. And you even remember all the feelings around it. Maybe you watched with your friends, maybe you watched with your back then girlfriend, boyfriend, I don't know, right? So it reminds you, takes you back to the memory lane, and you experience that feeling again that you love. And then that gets you to that state, and that helps you to start finding your identity. So what ends up happening is that the identity that you had maybe in your 20s, and maybe now you are looking for that in your 50s, right? So it won't be exactly the same, but you will have some place to start from, and you will see who you were before you got married. And that's what is important, because you have to find your identity that does not connect with your marriage. It is sad, but that is the step one if you want to get out of that painful zone, this fearful zone, the worry, constant worry, and all that is going on. Once you find that, you will start noticing the beauty in life. You will find joy in little things. And that's the start. That's the start. This cup of coffee that I am enjoying, I feel it. I feel how it is a little warm, not too cold, not too hot. And I feel the touch. I enjoy the touch on this Dixie cup. I love coffee because for 3 years, at some point, it was 7-8 years ago, I had some health issue and I couldn't drink coffee, and now I can drink coffee, I can eat everything. So I'm grateful for that. I remember that. I can see the color of the coffee. It's perfect. I add sugar and cream. So it's a perfect cup of coffee. I don't know if you can see. I don't want to bend too much. Then it's going to fall on my table. You know? And when I am in a certain place and there are sounds, I hear all the sounds. So I train my mind to live in the present moment. And there are many other, little techniques that I go over time, because we can't learn everything in one day. It's a step-by-step approach. So I take people at their own pace that they're ready. But you can get to that unstoppable place. You can get to that unstoppable place. So if you're going through that, any of your friends are going through that, share this channel if you think it's going to help them in any way. They're from the videos. There are shorts I make. Also, there are this larger videos, longer videos in the mornings, every morning that I make. Because I have learned a lot of these things from many different places over the past 20 years, but it is not all about that. It was more about me going through that experience because I know how I feel inside. Because if I can help someone to get from this state to this state the way I feel things, it's, I knew for myself that I couldn't pay for that feeling. It's just a step-by-step approach. Once you figure out, nothing can stop you. Nothing, absolutely nothing can stop you. And I think you can read it from my expression, from my eyes, the way I'm talking. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's like magic. You have to literally feel it to believe it. You have to literally feel it to believe it. So keep going. The biggest thing is, even if you don't do anything with anyone, therapist or friends, just you are by yourself, and that's how you are managing consistency. Consistency is the absolute key. For me, making these videos when I started last year, May 2024, until now, February, and I plan on going year after year, not even month after month. I plan on going, because the version of me who I have become in this process is I'm in love with, because I'm learning so many things by making these videos every single day, by helping people, and I'm just fascinated how our mind, God, and universe, how all of these are connected, and how we can make the world a better place. It inspires me. There's so much pain and suffering in the world. If I can make a tiny, tiny, tiny contribution to make the world a better place, why not, right? Okay, so I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And remember, step 1 is finding your identity outside of your marriage, finding your new identity that is outside of your marriage. I'll cover step 2 tomorrow and step 3 the day after. Take care. Bye.